Hey there, if you are an author or an aspiring author, there is no doubt you are wondering what the heck AI is going to do to this industry. Well, I will tell you, none of us know for sure, but we do know what's happening right now. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through the do's and don'ts that you need to know to be an author today in the age of AI. My name's Kelly Notaras. I'm the founder of KN Literary Arts. We are your one-stop shop, getting you from wherever you are to having that book in your hand. So visit us at knliterary.com. I've also been an editor in the U.S. publishing business for over 25 years, and I bring all of that wisdom to this YouTube channel for free. So please hit the subscribe button and that little bell icon so you never miss a video. Now, this is a must-watch video for anybody who wants to be writing in this moment where AI is starting to show everything that it can do. There are plenty of people who are sounding the death knell for book publishing in the age of AI. And look, we honestly don't know what is going to happen in the future. But as of the time I'm recording this video, AI is actually not hindering, but helping the publishing industry in lots of different ways. We in the publishing business are talking a lot about how the whole process of writing a book starts with a human and it ends with a human or humans. But in the middle, you may have ways that you can use AI to speed up the process and just make it so much more simple and easy than it ever was before. So I'm going to walk you through 3 do's and 3 don'ts for using AI when you are working on your book. So right now, the first do I want to say is brainstorming. It is an amazing tool to help you just generate ideas because ideas beget more ideas. And sometimes if we're sitting looking at a blank page, we have a really hard time even taking the first step. So I'm going to talk to you about several different ways I personally am using AI to brainstorm and that you can too. So the first thing I would suggest you use AI to brainstorm is the title of your book. It is so good at coming up with just a lot of different options. This is something that people in the book publishing business have been doing for years. I can remember when I was working at the traditional publishers, just coming up with a list of 25 different possible titles after reading a manuscript. And the way I did that was I would look through the pages of the book and see just what phrases and ideas lit up to me. And then I would stand back after I read it and think, what is really the main benefit that somebody is getting from reading this book? Obviously, I'm talking about nonfiction here. And those are the kinds of prompts you can give ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, whichever AI you like using. And you can say, go through this manuscript. By the way, you can close off the sharing of your material with the LLM or the large language model if you use a paid account in either Claude or ChatGPT. So just get that paid account, go to data and controls in settings and turn off improve the model for everyone. So I'll just say that that's really important because you don't want your book to go out there to train the LLMs. Okay, but once you have that turned off, you can freely upload your book and say, will you please pick out the most interesting, unique, and evocative phrases you see in this book that describe the overall vision of what this book is, through the eyes of somebody who has a need for X, Y, and Z, whatever the benefits are that you are providing this book to serve, right? And see what comes up. Again, it's a great way to just generate a lot of ideas that you can then pick through and search and, put together this subtitle with this title and just really start to get some better ideas than maybe you had yourself. Sometimes we're really close to our book and coming up with a title can be very challenging. So, and this is even for those of you who think you have the best title, whose title came before the book, who you are sure this title is the right title. I would highly recommend going through this exercise because you might be surprised by what you see. And even if you decide you don't want to do the brainstorming, go ahead and load up your manuscript or your book proposal and ask, is the title I have the best title for this book? You will get a lot of good information there because a lot of times I find that authors who are newer in the industry think they have the best title and it's a title that makes their friends laugh and it just feels clever and fun. But we in the book business understand it's actually not going to sell that book. And so it's a great way for you to sort of get some feedback and say, is this a selling title for this book? And see what ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini have to say. The second thing I suggest you brainstorm is your hook. So your hook is the positioning statement of the book. Somebody asks you, hey, I heard you're writing a book. And you respond with, yes, I'm writing a book about blank. That phrase can be something that's very useful. Again, load up what you have, if it's your book proposal, partial manuscript, full manuscript, and ask, what would you say is the one-line description of what this book is that would be really selling? You can also load up a PDF of the New York Times bestseller list and say, I want something that would fit on this list. Because you can go to the New York Times website and look up the fiction bestsellers or the nonfiction bestsellers, and you will see that they have written a little hook or positioning statement for every single book. So you can give that information to the LLM you're working with and say, I want it to be as good as these, and see what you get. If you're writing fiction, AI can really help you with figuring out what your characters' names should be, what they should be wearing for the era that the book is set in, what they might be interested in terms of their hobbies, and what foods they might be eating. You can really get the whole world for you. Plus, you can have a lot of ideas that get sparked that you wouldn't even have thought of. You could say, for the era that this is happening in, what kinds of things would people be talking about at the dinner table? What would be on the front page of the newspaper, etc.? And you can get a lot of great information that way. So use it to brainstorm your characters, the world that they're in, the current events, etc. If you're writing a memoir, you can upload your journals. You can take a phone scanner app and scan the pages of your journals and upload them and say, what would you think would be the central conflict or the most compelling way that I would frame this memoir that is many, many years of my life, and I need to frame it in a way a lot of readers are going to want to pick it up? How would you do that? And get 10, 20 different ideas and start thinking about, oh, that's interesting. I wouldn't have thought of it that way. Or, oh, I see. I could do it this way. Again, it's just opening your mind a bit and giving you some information that you wouldn't otherwise have had. So hopefully that gives you some ideas of what kinds of brainstorming you can do with AI. Now, what is the don't? The don't is, do not ask it to choose the title, to choose the best hook. Because unfortunately, in my experience right now, ChatGPT and Claude are not good at knowing what is going to work in the marketplace out there, what readers are going to come to. And here's the hard part. They're going to give you a lot of compelling reasons why the one that they've chosen is the right one. And I happen to know it's not the right one. So it's not something you can use instead of talking to an editor, or something you can use instead of going out and doing your own research on the bookshelf. You still need to do that piece to assess and determine which of these you want to put at the top of your book proposal, or you want to put on the cover of the book if you're self-publishing it. I say that because if you are publishing through a traditional house, believe you me, they are still doing titleage meetings, they are still doing marketing meetings, they are going to talk about your title, and they are going to decide which one is the best title for you using humans, because humans really understand the synthesis of everything that's going on in the book publishing industry right now, not just which one sounds good on the page. And that's what's most important. So do not use ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini to tell you for sure which title you're going to be using. You need to incorporate human understanding as well. And if you're not going to be working with a traditional publisher and you're self-publishing, I always recommend going to your audience. Your audience might be your social media channels, it might be your newsletter list, and say, out of these 3 titles, which one would you think is the best? Getting that kind of feedback directly from the people who are already following you and already think you're fabulous is going to be gold in your decision-making process of looking at that whole list of those ChatGPT titles, which it could come up with 300 if you asked it to, but that doesn't mean that they're all good. So you're going to have to decide which one is the best. So another do of the AI age is to use AI to bring together all of the content you've already created, maybe through your career, maybe through years of writing in your journal or years of jotting down notes about your novel. You can put all of that into ChatGPT and ask it to organize it and help you figure out what the right outline for the book should be. You can also ask it to help you see places in that outline where there are weaknesses, where you need to add more content, where you haven't quite made your point, etc. It is such a good tool for analysis, and it can really, really help you when you've been working on a book for a long time and you feel overwhelmed with the content. Or like so many of my clients say, I've been writing journals for 20 years, I want to write a memoir, I don't even know where to start. Put it all into ChatGPT and let it help you figure out what are the beats you want to have over the course of this book, whether it's a novel or a memoir, or what is the process or methodology that it can sort of extrapolate out of all of these talks you've given or podcasts that you've recorded. It can use really any transcripts from video, from a workshop you've done. It can really, really help you to sift through the noise and find what is it that you really want to be writing about and get it into an outline format. Okay, this one's controversial. A don't that is my personal preference and choice is do not rely on ChatGPT to tell you what your voice is, and do not believe it when it produces something in your voice that it truly is yours. And I say this as an editor who has a high sensitivity to word choice and phrasing. I can tell you, if you are using ChatGPT I know, because I can tell that there's a generic quality to the voice. You may think it sounds like you because you're like, oh yeah, I'd say that. But from my perspective, I know that that same kind of content, that same voice, that same feel is coming from you and 20 other people. And so you really do need to commit to rewriting the content that you are having ChatGPT help you draft. That is the commitment that's going to turn a book that's going to feel like it's been written by AI into something that's truly yours because you actually have crafted every word on the page. Which leads me to the next and third do with AI, which is do let AI help you draft starter content. So I've been saying this for years. It is so hard to start working on a book if you're not a confident writer, especially, but even if you are, honestly, when you're just opening up a blank page and you're supposed to write your entire book. It's very, very challenging. This is why I always tell people you want an outline that will be very detailed and give you exactly the little chunk size that you need to write today. But even further beyond that, I find that having some content already in that document when you open it is the best way to really get momentum the minute you sit down and not waste a moment that you have set aside out of your busy life to be writing. But how do you get that starter content? So one way is if you've been writing blogs or you've been doing audios that you can turn into transcripts, or you've been writing newsletters, or you've been working on your book, you already have some content that you can slot in to that outline that you and ChatGPT have come up with together, and then you can start from that. But what if you don't yet have that content? Well, here's what I will say. You can load your ideas. And I do this all the time with my phone. I talk into my notes app and I just give the ideas that I have. You can talk for a half an hour and you're going to get a lot of content, not in any written form. It's not going to be beautiful. It's going to be very messy. You can put that into ChatGPT and get it to give you some starter content for each of these chapters. So you load up your outline and you load up just a dialogue or a bunch of content you've already created. And you say, can you tell me, create some starter content for each one of these bullet points in the outline based on what I've just given you. And you'll be surprised by what it can create. Again, it is not content I suggest you include in your book. It's starter content that you will be rewriting as you're looking at it, and you'll read it and think, oh, well, this does fit in this chapter, but not until I talk about this first. Again, it gives you that jumping off point, that little starter that gets you going. So again, I am not encouraging you to use ChatGPT to write content that will be wholesale put into your book. I am saying use it to start your ideas flowing, and you will rewrite every word of it and incorporate it into a larger piece that becomes that full chapter. Which of course leads me to the final do not, and that is do not expect ChatGPT to write your book for you, or Claude or Gemini or any of these writing tools. This is not going to fly with your audience at this moment. It may be that down the line we are going to be using AI to write every book. Maybe all of us editors and authors will be out of a job. That's very possible. A lot of people are definitely sending those doomsday messages out there. But right now, you are not really at liberty to publish a book, certainly not with a traditional publisher where much of it has been written wholesale by AI. But again, like I said, you can use it as starter content where you add in your unique voice. You add in your unique ideas. You use it and you say, actually, no to that thing that Claude came up with for me, but that helps me see I really want to do this. So in that way, it's kind of like a coach or a tool that you're using to generate your own ideas. The number one most important do is to remember that this book is yours. And even though ChatGPT can be very useful in making it more efficient, in streamlining the process, in being a free or $20 a month book coach for you, it is not a ghostwriter for you. The best it can do is sketch out for you kind of a vision for a book. And some people will see, oh, I'm going to sketch out this idea for a vision, but I know it's not good enough. I certainly wouldn't want my name on it. It's just not doing, what it needs to do. If you're a reader, you will know the difference. You can then take it to a human ghostwriter, and you're so much further down the process with them that it's going to be a less expensive experience, and one where they're going to be able to start off really understanding your vision because you've already done this work with ChatGPT. A lot of people think ChatGPT is taking the creativity out of writing. I disagree. Putting your work into Claude or into Gemini or ChatGPT is really a creative process. It's a fun process. It's iterative. And a lot of of people that I'm talking to who are using it to sketch out maybe that just first vision of the book. They are finding it a lot of fun, but they also know they have a hugely daunting task ahead of them, which is to turn that general sketch into something that is their own. They still have to dig deep. They still have to give the time, or they need to hire somebody to do it for them to turn every word of that book into their own. So that is where we stand today. Those are the do's and don'ts I will give you. Again, a lot of people feel this is a very controversial topic. I want to hear what you think in the comments. Let us know. Are you using AI? How are you using it? Why or why not? I can't wait to hear from you. And in the meantime, to you and any help aid you're using, whether it's a human editor or your favorite one of these LLMs, I'm wishing you happy writing.